this table is a full table.
Let's have a round of applause for Eric Roscoe on the rhubarb. Thank you, Eric. Please continue to get your food and kind of just be mindful of speakers if you are in line. Keep the conversation to a whisper. Welcome again, everyone, to a night in Afghanistan Gala. We're excited to be here for Sing for Freedom with you tonight. A special thanks to our sponsors who have contributed $14,000 to the matching fund for tonight. Thank you. Yes, round of applause. I feel like I'm at the Oscars. Please keep your applause for after I read all of them. Thank you to the Michael and Patty Myers Charitable Fund, the Miller Hall Partnership, the Buyer Z, hopefully I said that correctly, I apologize, Real Estate, and the Branch Moore Charitable Fund. Now to get the evening started, we have a special video guest here to open the evening before we begin our in-person program. U.S. Representative from Washington's 7th Congressional District, Pramila Jayapal.
I'm Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, and I'm honored to represent Washington's 7th Congressional District in the House of Representatives, where I also serve as chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Thank you so much to Sahar for organizing this important event and for bringing together so many individuals who are dedicated to ensuring Afghan women and girls have access to education. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to take part in tonight's gala and just to share a few words with you all. We have all seen the painful examples of gender apartheid in Afghanistan. Girls forced to leave school after 6th grade and not allowed to continue their education. Women unable to visit parks, travel without a male family member, or even sing. Afghan women and girls are being stripped of their basic rights and freedoms, barred from expressing themselves in any form as they face systemic oppression. This discrimination is more than a set of laws. It is a mindset that degrades and devalues women and girls. Refusing to let Afghan girls access education does not mean just physically removing them from the classroom. It also means removing their voices completely from political discourse. It means denying women many of the tools needed to shape their own future, contribute to their communities, and make a difference. These are real lives, mothers, daughters, sisters, being stolen by oppressive forces. And despite the very real dangers they face, many of them are choosing to push back. They are organizing, they are advocating for their rights, and they're showing us just how brave they can be. And that is why I am so proud to support Sahar and the work you all do to empower these women and girls and give them access to an education that will help them thrive. Sahar's educational programs provide a lifeline to women and girls in Afghanistan, from coding classes to language assistance to health issues. Your work is instrumental in bringing about the change we wish to see. By impacting hundreds of Afghan girls per year, you are not only changing the lives of those girls, you are creating a ripple effect. When we give girls access to education, we allow them to become empowered. They learn to contribute meaningfully to their own goals, their families, and their communities. They stand up for themselves. Your work not only transforms individuals' lives, but it has a far-reaching effect that helps create a more equal and prosperous society years down the line. While we work to support your organization's work and the women on the ground fighting to learn, we also have to make it clear in the international community that these conditions are not okay. We need to loudly, forcefully, and consistently speak out against these oppressive policies and make sure that they are not replicated around the world or that they continue in Afghanistan. We have the power to make change, to advocate for policies that protect and uplift Afghan women, and to ensure that their fight for freedom, education, and equality is supported by our collective efforts. Together, we can work towards a world where every individual, regardless of gender, has the right to live freely, pursue their dreams, and contribute to the community they love. So let us all continue that work, and let us continue fighting this righteous fight, ensuring that oppressed women have access to the tools they need to succeed. We will keep building that momentum, organizing, and finding new ways to reach the women and girls who need help the most. Thank you to everyone here for singing for freedom with Sahar, and for all of your efforts to support this amazing cause. As you keep pushing forward, please know that I will be right alongside you in Congress every step of the way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative Jayapal. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor that we welcome Fatima Hosseini. If she could please come forward. Fatima is an acclaimed Afghan Tehran-born artist whose work not only captivates the eye, but also volumes about resilience and identity. We're thrilled to have a beautiful exhibit, if you've seen her photographs from her series Pearl and the Oyster, displayed in the foyer and throughout the room. It's a testament to her extraordinary talent and vision. Fatima's journey is truly inspiring. As one of the youngest recipients of the prestigious Hapatia International Award and a celebrated youth ambassador recognized by the Women's Forum in France, she is a powerful voice for change. She's a tireless advocate for women's and refugee rights, using her photography to shed light on crucial narratives, particularly those of the Afghan experience. Her work is a vibrant tapestry of color and storytelling that resonates on both national and international stages. We would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Fatima for her generous donation of a striking portrait and books to our auction, so please go put in your bid. Your support not only enhances our event, but also amplifies the important causes you champion through your art. Thank you, Fatima, for sharing your brilliance with us today. Let's give her a big welcome.
Hello everyone, and thank you so much, Seattle, and the great people here to having me tonight, and also Sana Foundation. It's a quite honor, but also sad and very painful to come on the stage to talk about the women of Afghanistan in this way, which is so sad and painful for me as I went back to Afghanistan to cover something different but not war. So I'm Fatima. I was born in Iran, and as my grandparents left Afghanistan 50 years ago. And I grew up there. I studied at the University of Tehran, and this identity crisis were always with me and discovering home. And I went back to Afghanistan in 2015. And since then, I was between Tehran and Kabul. And I started my project not going through the cliche image of women of Afghanistan in burqa, a husband cutting the nose of a woman, or we see on the Western media. So I went through the life of women there, the colors, the beauty, and the hope that was really there, but always covered by the news of war, unfortunately. And I went through the life of women, which was not easy to be a photographer in Afghanistan, and also talking about women and covering their face and make them more visible. Even during the Republic, I had so many challenges with the patriarchal society to invite women, and a part of my project also were erased because so many men, a brother, a father, a husband called me that, how dare you to take the picture of our wife, our sister, or whatever. But I was there, I was living with the generation, with the hopes of love and hopes of freedom, something that we could change something. But unfortunately, that didn't really, last a lot. And I went there to cover a story of a textile, the story of a hat, the story of an Afghan woman artist, and also the story of their eyes, which were captured in Kabul and other provinces. And this project started in 2015, but also stayed unfinished because right after the collapse of the Republic in 2021, August 15, which is a very painful, dark day in Afghan nation history, that American government and international community left Afghanistan and left us to the hands of Taliban, not all of people of Afghanistan, but a terrorist group that just target women. Yeah. So imagine I just suffered. I just went through so much to not talk about the burqa, not talk about Taliban, not put the Afghan women and reproducing the picture of the victimized frame from women of Afghanistan. But I come to a stage that my project, I left it behind. And all the women in my photos also left Afghanistan. And I also left to France. And I'm there for 3 years in exile. And just recently I came to New York as a scholar at Parsons. But whatever we left behind, just last night we had a discussion with two of my amazing friends here, that how sad and how unfair we lost everything. To be honest, maybe for you it's very strange a little bit, but to be honest, in the past 20 years, the women of Afghanistan were doing so much. We had our challenges. We were in a patriarchal society. We couldn't live as much as freedom that we have here, but at least women were doing something. We had women doctors, we had women teachers, we had women artists. I was walking the streets of Kabul with these beautiful, amazing women with their traditional clothes. And this is the color of the women of Afghanistan. They had the textile, the colors that you see, and not the black or the blue burqa that Taliban and the oppressions and the terrorist group just imposed us to wear. So, I mean, I left it behind, and my books are here, the only gift that I can offer women of Afghanistan and the freedom that we were experiencing, at least in the 2 decades of the Republic in Afghanistan. So now I'm in exile, working still on the resilience of women, not in Afghanistan, far from home, but in exile. And I'm a wanderer in the road of Silk Road and redefining my identity as a woman and talking about women in my photos and my stories. But today, it's so sad to stand here and talk about what Taliban is doing for women of Afghanistan in front of the world's eyes. And every day we go through different conferences, different talks, to talk that, help the women there. Women cannot go back to school, women cannot go back to university. And I was a teacher at Kabul University, and I remember that how much, I mean, me and my colleagues tried to change something at the art faculty, especially most of my students at the photography department were women. And today there is no art faculty anymore at the Kabul University. As I don't know, Taliban always target women in art, as they know that how much powerful it is. But at least we are trying, we are the pieces. I just met another amazing friend from Vancouver that we couldn't meet after the collapse, and the last time we met in Kabul. It's actually, my heart aches for women of my country and for women of Afghanistan, but this is us, separated, shattered, and collapsed, and every piece is every part of the world. But I mean, we all have a same message, this which is freedom for women and equality. And thank you for Sahar Foundation to bring us all together, and thank you all for listening to us and helping women of Afghanistan. And I hope you enjoyed my photos, and may all women of the world, and of course women of Afghanistan, stand tall. Thank you so much.
This photo you see here is part of our silent auction, so if you would like to bid on that, that's available. Thank you so much, Fatima. Now it's my honor to introduce a new member of the Sahar Education, Farzana Darwish. Farzana joins us as program manager and is excited to share her experience and enthusiasm with the cause we're all here to support. So let's have a warm welcome for Farzana.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Farzana Darwish, and it's an absolute honor for me to join Sahar's Education as the new project manager. Being here tonight is not just a privilege. It's a profound opportunity to connect with individuals who believe for the things that I do believe. And they believe in the transformative power of education. There's a Farsi saying that I always hold near to my heart. Bigger changes can always be traced back to the spark of small changes. This belief has changed and guided me throughout my life and my career. I have dedicated nearly a decade of my life in teaching, educating girls and women in Afghanistan. Growing up in Afghanistan, I have witnessed firsthand struggles that girls and women faces in getting an education. With my own mother having all daughters, she tirelessly taught us for the right to learn and success. I understood early on that education is not about knowledge. It is about empowerment, independence, and the ability to dream. I knew that education is the only way out of adversity, and it is the key to thriving even in the face of conflict and war. My journey in pursuit of education led me to obtain my first master's and a partial PhD in mathematics from India, and I recently have graduated from University of Pennsylvania, and this is my absolute honor that I graduated under the UNESCO Fellowship. I am one of millions of girls who do not have the same privilege in Afghanistan. Joining Sahar is like a natural extension of this journey for me. Sahar's mission, providing education for girls in Afghanistan, it deeply resonates with me. By supporting Afghan girls to get an education, we are giving them a chance to be leaders, innovators, and change makers in their families and communities. My hope for future is to see a generation of Afghan girls who can break free from the chains of oppression, gender apartheid, and patriarchy, and race to build a more equitable society. At Sahar, I'm excited to expand our programs, build partnership, and create opportunities for girls who have been denied to get an education. I envision a future where no girl has to fight for the chance to go to school. A future where education is not a privilege, but a fundamental right for every child, regardless of their circumstances. This is not a that one organization or one individual can do alone. We need your support. Together, we can create these sparks of change to ensure that no one is left behind. Every contribution, every partnership, and every shared vision will bring us one step closer to a brighter and impactful future for all Afghan girls and their communities. And now, it's my great honor to introduce someone who has been leading these efforts with dedication and passion, Mitra Al-Khuzai. Mitra has been Thank you. Mitra is Sahar's executive director since 2022. She holds a bachelor's degree in political science and public administration from American University of Afghanistan. And she holds a master's degree in women and gender studies from Loyola University in Chicago, where she was a Fulbright scholar. Having lived and worked in Afghanistan for most of her life, Mitra knows firsthand and critical role that education can play and transform girls' lives in Afghanistan. Please join me in welcoming Mitra Al-Khuzai to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Farzana. Hello and good evening. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedules to join us tonight in Sahar's annual gala. I am deeply grateful for your presence and your commitment to the education and empowerment of Afghan girls and women. Your dedication to our mission makes it possible, and your belief in a brighter future for Afghanistan fuels our work every day. It is an honor and privilege to stand here before you all as the Executive Director of Sahar Education. I have always been aware of my privileges, but I have never felt them as deeply as I do now. The very small things that I used to take for granted back home growing up are now privileges that millions of Afghan girls and women can only dream of. As an Afghan woman and immigrant in the United States, I stand here before you all in this beautiful, vibrant Afghan traditional dress. Even the colors I wear tonight and the cultural heritage that we Afghans have owned and cherished for over a century have become privileges in Afghanistan. In fact, me standing here speaking to you all in a language that is not my own, the very act of being here, standing, looking at you directly, envisioning a future for my two newborns where they have access to education has become a privilege. Can you imagine the simple act of existing freely and owning one's identity has become a privilege? I know you're all aware of the daily atrocities committed by the Taliban that are leading to the gender apartheid unfolding in Afghanistan. While information about these atrocities are easily available, even after the censorship that the Taliban have put in place, what is often missing is the narratives of Afghan women and how this gender apartheid is affecting every individual woman in Afghanistan. The feelings, emotions, experiences, and narratives of Afghan women are not easily found on.
The way that this culture, this society has been upended is a cautionary tale for the rest of the world. In the 70s, most of the civil servants were women, over half the teachers, doctors. There were women jurists, lawyers, in every profession. And then the world upended. And today, in Kabul, a female cat has more freedoms than a woman. A bird may sing in Kabul, but a girl may not, and a woman may not in public. This is extraordinary. This is a suppression of the natural law.
سلام جناب رئیس جمهور. من سریا هستم. آرزو دارم این نامه را به دقت بخوانید. شما را به خدا سوگند که این برگ ها را پس از خواندن نسوزانید. نابودی این فریاد وجدانتان را شکن.
خود با گذشته داره و نمیتونه من نمیتونم سر نوید اما چیز بقبولانم که بله بیشی خانه درس نخوان
ناگم فهمی که ناگم فهم جوان امروزی میتونن بیشتر آینده را خود رقم بزنن.
ما فکر میکنم ما باید توقع خود بسیار منطقی از این پروسه داشته باشیم. ما حداقل 25 سال در سالهای اخیر جنگ کردیم و 40 چند سال است که در افغانستان جنگ میکنیم.
I'm not worried about the withdrawal of troops. I'm worried about the withdrawal of troops without peace intact.
This is not a partisan issue. It is a human rights issue, and it is a security issue for the future of Afghanistan.
How much more shall we compromise for the cost of peace?
Women of Afghanistan cannot be ignored. If it comes to a desperate situation, they will stand for themselves and they will fight for their rights. And I will be one of them.
It is my pleasure to speak with you today. I would like to thank to Sahar Education to make this important event possible. As you know, it's about 1,100 days our girls have been banned from going to school. Meanwhile, the world remains silent without the conscience to cry out, to see, or to hear. And of course, no action has been taken. I want to present a powerful, complete picture of the reality girl and women of Afghanistan face by sharing my story through my own experience. As you know, the Taliban held our control hostage for 5 years in their previous period. By 1995, when the Taliban took control, like today, in the cities, film tapes hang from trees. Musical instruments lay shattered, and one by one statues were destroyed, like the great Buddha of Bamiyan. In my city, our cinema was replaced by the mosque. They burned the books in libraries, fearing they made content the words of so-called infidels. Just like today, whipped women for stepping outside. Just like today, women were stoned to die for the crime of love, and forced marriages reached their peak, and child marriages created a disaster. Just like today, cemeteries with child mothers and their young fetuses planted anger and regret the hearts. And just like today, the gates of litigation were closed and the courts held silence on women and girls with wedlock. Only field fatwas ordered stoning, execution, etc. Even nature was in conflict with the situation. Many droughts had made the vigorous trees of Naju lifeless, and just like today, the weight of the farmers was dry and burying. The farmer's bowl was empty, and the child laborer had no bread. It didn't rain for years, as if the spring of nature was anger with injustice. All this description are not a horrible fiction movie. They are the reality that I have lived, the reality that our girls are and women are living in Afghanistan just right now. In those days, my father lost everything and faced poverty and illness. Our family of 12, my parents, aunt, uncle, and its sister live in hardship with no brother yet born. My mother would say, we were 10 women trapped in a house prison. After school closed, just like today, suitors came knocking, believing that with the Taliban arrival, there was no hope or future for girls. Young girls were nothing but an expense and risk. Also, the forced marriages became the grim solution to poverty, just as it happened today. My mother, aunt, and sister worked tireless. My mother and aunt began weaving carpets and handmade crafts. The dust from carpet threads worsened my mother asthma until she could no longer continue, and my sister Alka, who started alongside them. And my
Another sister, Mojgan, they shaved her head and dressed her as a boy so she could act as a mahram man and go to the bazaar for her sister under the Taliban rule. After the mother suffering from asthma, the weaving of each rag took 4 or 5 months. There was later market for carpets, and if my mother earned anything from her weaving, a book was always bought. Reading and writing was as essential as food. If we had no bread, we still had paper to write and books to read. I was in charge of the cooking kitchen, and the kitchen was far from the rooms of house. My aunt would bring dessert waits on her way home, and during the day, I helped my mother. At night, I sat by the kitchen for hours, tending to the weak dessert waits that burned quickly. As the fire flickered, I wrote sentences, sometimes poem, sometimes theater, between breaths of flames and darkness. It was by that Owen's head that I wrote the story of my first film, 3 Dots. We could buy a booklet, and sometimes both sisters had a booklet, half of which was written by one, and another half was with another one. We also made life colorful with our share. We darkened the window so that no light could be seen from outside by the Taliban, and we used to take out the old video system, watch movies with charging bottles. It was underground cinema. It was like underground cinema. We had few books, and we enjoyed moonlight night to read because we could see the line of the book and read more. The light of halakine lamp was not available every night. The efforts of these 2 women, my mother and my aunt, saved us from forced marriage, and of course my father and uncle was behind. We were happy that in 2000, God made my family happy with the birth of my only brother, Rashid. We turned the coldness of those days and dark nights into dynamic moments by reading a poem, a few pages of a book, and working hard and working hard. We created light and life from the heart of poverty and darkness, but we did not expect this difficult situation after 20 years of struggle and sacrifice for our girl in Afghanistan. Now you know what I'm talking about. For those who gathering in Seattle today to support the education of girls of Afghanistan, thank you for your presence and support. If there was support in those days, maybe the difficult path would have been easier. As you know, our children also have dreams, and the page of their mind for learning is clear and wide, just like was clouds about Sydney, Toronto, Virginia, Moscow, Beijing, etc. We know the world is a strange place. We have borders, we have rules, and we have pain and joys, places in war and places in peace. But we know this. We all have a heart that overflows with love and dries up in violence and suffering. And it is important that these hearts come together. I have told my story. Afghan people love education, art, and happiness. They are trying their best, but they need fundamental change. And until that change, they need support. Raise your voice to support Afghan women and support girl education. Raise your voice for Afghanistan and no for the Taliban. Thank you so much.
Why they suppress their women so much? What are they afraid of? What are men afraid of in these women? And he said, well, you know, there's the yin and the yang. The yin is the feminine, it's the softness, it's creativity, it's compassion, it's nurturing, and yang is male, and and its forcefulness and its decisiveness and its action, and it can also be violence.
In the face of adversity, Sahar Education stands as one of the few remaining nonprofits and beacons of hope for women and young girls in Afghanistan. Sahar partners with grassroots, locally based organizations to create educational opportunities and safe learning spaces across the region, empowering and inspiring children and their families to build peaceful, thriving communities that will create everlasting change and positively shape generations to come.